an alarming trend has emerged in England and Wales. A significant failure by prosecutors to secure deletion orders for intimate images shared without consent. This revelation, stemming from an analysis of court records, highlights a systemic issue within the justice system's response to revenge porn offenses. The analysis, focusing on magistrates' court cases concluded within the last 6 months, August 2024 to February 2025, uncovered a deeply troubling statistic. Out of 98 cases involving the non-consensual sharing of intimate images, only 3 resulted in a deprivation order mandating the surrender and deletion of the offending material from the perpetrator's devices. This means that in a vast majority of cases, perpetrators retain access to the explicit images and videos, a stark failure to protect victims and deter future offenses. This inadequate response has profound implications for victims. Sophie Mortimer, who heads the Revenge Porn Helpline, eloquently articulated the psychological trauma inflicted upon victims. The mere knowledge that their intimate images remain in the possession of their abuser is deeply distressing and psychologically damaging, even absent any immediate threat of further dissemination. Elena Michael, representing the campaign group Not Your Porn, powerfully emphasizes the message this inaction sends. Perpetrators are effectively deemed untouchable, their actions met with insufficient consequences. Allowing them to retain the very tools used to commit the crime, their devices containing the abusive material, not only normalizes such behavior, but actively facilitates the potential for repeated offenses. It is akin to handing back the weapon used in a crime and encouraging its reuse. The Observer's comprehensive analysis meticulously examined cases heard in magistrates' courts since August 2024, leveraging data from the Courts Desk database, a comprehensive repository of legal proceedings in England and Wales. This analysis provides concrete evidence of a widespread problem, revealing a stark disconnect between existing legislation and its practical application. Previously, Lady Owen, in a private member's bill, proposed mandatory deletion of intimate images, encompassing physical copies and digital storage across all platforms under the perpetrator's control. The government's response cited existing provisions within the Sentencing Act 2020, which allows courts to deprive offenders of property linked to the crime. However, the Observer's findings irrefutably demonstrate the inconsistent and insufficient application of this existing power. This led Lady Owen to propose amendments to her data bill, suggesting a code of practice for the courts to ensure consistent implementation of existing legal frameworks. However, the government deemed this constitutionally inappropriate, opting instead for a review by the Sentencing Council, which is currently monitoring the government's forthcoming intimate image legislation and awaiting the enactment of new guidelines before making any changes. The gravity of the situation is further underscored by independent data. Refuge's data reveals a shockingly low prosecution rate for intimate image abuse, with only approximately 4% of reported cases resulting in charges. The Revenge Porn Helpline, with a decade of experience and over 60,000 cases handled, reports an alarming average annual increase of 57% in reported incidents, vividly illustrating the escalating nature of this crime and the urgent need for effective legal intervention and robust enforcement. The lack of consistent application of existing laws, coupled with the woefully low prosecution rates and the staggering rise in reported cases, paints a grim picture of the justice system's response to revenge porn. The failure to secure deletion orders allows perpetrators to retain control over deeply personal and sensitive material, inflicting significant and ongoing trauma on victims. This systemic failure demands immediate and decisive action, encompassing not only robust prosecution, but also a comprehensive review and reform of legal processes to ensure that existing powers are effectively used and that victims are adequately protected. The current situation not only fails to deter perpetrators, but also leaves victims vulnerable to ongoing abuse and harassment. A far more proactive and victim-centered approach is desperately needed, one that prioritizes the removal of abusive content and the protection of survivors. The continued inaction represents a grave failure of the justice system to uphold its duty to protect vulnerable individuals from this form of devastating abuse.